David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight, breaking news. President Trump announces a Navy blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, a deadly mass shooting at a Chick-Fil-A restaurant, and the Secret Service trainee accused of a weeks-long spying campaign. First, U.S. Central Command saying that blockade will start Monday morning. President Trump warning that the U.S. will stop any and all ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz. This after Vice President J.D. Vance and Iranian negotiators left the 21 hours of talks without a deal. Both sides now pointing the finger at the other for the failure, threatening that fragile ceasefire. What this could all mean for the global economy. Gas, food, and airline prices already surging. We have team coverage tonight. Gunfire erupting at a Chick-Fil-A in New Jersey. The disturbing images coming in, the urgent manhunt, and this case marking a grim milestone, the 100th mass shooting in America this year. Also tonight, severe weather threatening millions from Texas to the Midwest with damaging winds, hail, flash flooding, and possible tornadoes. Our weather team standing by with the forecast. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell is now facing growing calls to end his bid for California governor. Multiple women accusing him of sexual assault and inappropriate conduct. He denies the allegations, and tonight one of his accusers speaks with ABC News. A hike into California's Big Sur turning deadly. Hikers discovered a woman's body, describing the scene as atrocious. Police treating the death as suspicious. The Secret Service trainee accused of spying on a roommate with a hidden camera, now facing multiple charges. An exclusive decades-old hotel in Miami reduced to rubble in seconds. Why it had to come down. And a remarkable reunion more than a decade in the making. A dog reunited with its owners after being stolen from his backyard.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Whit Johnson. We begin tonight with breaking news. President Trump announcing a Navy blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. This after U.S. and Iranian negotiators failed to reach a peace deal following 21 hours of talks. Vice President J.D. Vance leading that historic marathon negotiation. Tonight, Trump insisting Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Iran issuing its own threat, saying any military vessel that approaches the strait would be considered in violation of that ceasefire and met with, quote, severe force. Tensions already rising over that critical waterway. Iranian authorities shared a video this morning of a radio communication between the Iranian Navy and a U.S. destroyer. The Navy appears to threaten the U.S. ship. U.S. Central Command now saying that blockade will start tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. What all this could mean for that fragile ceasefire as the war nears the 2-month mark. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz leads us off tonight from Islamabad.
Tonight, with no peace deal in sight, President Trump announcing that the U.S. will now blockade any and all ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz and posting a warning to Iran. Any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell.
We're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil.
U.S. Central Command saying tonight the blockade of maritime traffic will begin Monday at 10 a.m. and will affect all vessels entering and exiting Iranian ports and coastal areas, including those on the Arabian Gulf and Gulf of Oman. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps firing back, saying that any military vessel that approaches the strait would be in violation of the ceasefire and would be met with severe force. Iranian authorities releasing this video claiming to show a tense standoff between Iranian forces and a U.S. destroyer crossing the strait on Saturday.
You must alter course and go back.
This is Coalition Warship 121. Engaged in transit passage. No challenges attended to you.
The escalating tensions straining the fragile ceasefire after less than a week.
The U.S. is calling Iran's bluff and saying, we're going to create a blockade and take away your oil revenue.
These new warnings follow the marathon 21-hour peace talks here in Islamabad, the highest level talks between the two countries in 47 years.
The simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon.
Iran's Speaker of the Parliament and lead negotiator posting that the opposing side ultimately failed to gain the trust of the Iranian delegation this round of negotiations. During the negotiations, President Trump was watching a UFC match in Miami with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Talks he had seemed to brush off late Saturday.
Whether we make a deal or not makes no difference to me.
President Trump is warning China to stay out of the conflict after reports that U.S. intelligence has determined China may have sent Iran fresh weapons.
If we catch them doing that, they get a 50% tariff.
The president has repeatedly said we have already won this war, and while tactically this has been seemingly successful, Iran's effective closure of the strait in response and what that has done to world oil prices has given them a huge bargaining chip and added growing pressure for the president to end the war. Whit?
Martha Raddatz in Pakistan again tonight. And the war with Iran is already causing gas and food prices to surge. So the Trump administration is facing renewed pressure to bring down prices and now growing concerns about what a U.S. blockade could mean for America's economy. ABC's Alex Presha at the White House tonight.
Tonight, with no deal reached between the U.S. and Iran and now a pending blockade of the critical Strait of Hormuz, there's mounting pressure on the Trump administration to figure out how to ease the stress on the U.S. economy. Last month, consumer prices surged at their fastest monthly pace since 2022. The gas index increased by 21%, the highest single-month increase since records began in 1967. Economists say both upticks are largely fueled by the uncertainty from the conflict with Iran. And the president today hinting that oil and gas prices could remain high for months to come.
So do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be. It could be or the same or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same.
Increased fuel prices trickling down to higher food prices as well.
Ever since the war started in the Middle East, we have been facing increased prices and freight costs.
Year over year, coffee is up more than $2 a pound, ground beef now up nearly $1 a pound. In Culpeper, Virginia, farmers and distributors telling our Elizabeth Schulze they're feeling the soaring costs from diesel and fertilizer.
The last 2 months have been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Just really unstable. Every day we're getting calls that prices are going up, freight's going up, fuel. So it's been very unsettling for us as a business and also for our farmers that we serve.
And ahead of the summer travel rush, the EU and UK are now warning that airports there could soon run out of jet fuel if supplies don't start flowing regularly through the Strait of Hormuz. Whit?
Another major concern in all of this. All right, Alex Presha, we appreciate it. Next tonight, a horrific scene at a Chick-Fil-A restaurant in New Jersey. Gunfire erupting, killing one person and injuring 6 others. And now the manhunt underway. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
Tonight, panic inside a New Jersey Chick-fil-A after gunfire erupted, killing one person and injuring 6 others Saturday night. Dramatic dashcam footage showing the moment a man wearing a mask bolted from the restaurant with a handgun. First responders arriving to find multiple victims.
I've got an unconscious witness. I've got 1 shot in the face, and I believe 2 in the leg.
According to 2 officials briefed on the investigation, this was a targeted incident stemming from a drug or gang dispute. The person killed believed to have been the target of the shooting. The other victims believed to be bystanders and or employees. This Lyft driver heading to Chick-fil-A after finishing up a trip nearby when he says he heard several shots.
How many gunshots did you hear?
More than 7.
Wow.
More than 7.
This Chick-fil-A is very popular. It's busy, and especially on Saturdays, Fridays.
And the father of one Chick-fil-A worker telling our New York station WABC his son called him in a panic, saying multiple masked suspects came in with guns and that one of his co-workers were injured. He says he drove to the restaurant, calling it a war zone with police everywhere.
And with no arrests have been made so far, this marks the 100th mass shooting right here in the U.S. just this year. Whit?
All right, Morgan Norwood, thank you. Now to the growing calls for Eric Swalwell to drop out of the race for California governor. Swalwell now facing accusations from multiple women of sexual assault and inappropriate conduct, allegations he denies. Tonight we hear from one of his accusers. Here's ABC's investigative reporter, Olivia Rubin.
Tonight, Congressman Eric Swalwell facing crushing pressure to end his bid for governor of California amid bombshell allegations of sexual assault and harassment. He's one of the highest profile Democrats in Congress, even running for president.
Pass the torch.
Now, 4 women accusing him of sexual assault and inappropriate conduct, according to the San Francisco Chronicle and CNN, which ABC News has not independently confirmed. One former staffer in a CNN exclusive claiming Swalwell sexually assaulted her twice, once when she worked for him in 2019 and a second time in New York City in 2024.
In my flash that I can recall, I was pushing him off of me saying no.
And what did he do?
He didn't stop.
A source telling ABC the Manhattan District Attorney now investigating that claim. And tonight, another accuser speaking out. Ali Samarco alleging to ABC News Swalwell sent her a nude photo on Snapchat as they messaged for weeks and after they met in his congressional office as she was trying to find a job. She told me the alleged photo made her feel gross. Swalwell and his attorney did not immediately respond to ABC News' request for comment. But he has previously denied the allegations and questioned their timing.
These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They're absolutely false.
But tonight, more than 50 former staffers signing an open letter calling on Swalwell to end his campaign and resign, saying they're appalled by his actions and stand firmly with every victim who has come forward. And tonight, it's not just his bid for governor in danger. Republicans planning to force a House vote to expel him from Congress next week. 2/3 of the House would need to approve the measure. Tonight, even some Democrats say they're on board.
And with that expulsion vote could come as soon as this week. Some Democrats now saying Swalwell should just resign instead. Whit.
All right, Olivia Rubin, our thanks to you. Now to the millions of Americans on alert for severe weather. Let's get right to meteorologist Danny Beckstrom from our New York station WABC. And Danny, some serious concerns over the next 24 hours.
Strong storms in Texas tonight, Whit, but we also have concerns for the upper Midwest tomorrow. Let's talk the setup. In the west, cooler, drier air. In the east, we're looking at warm, humid air. They're duking it out. The center of the country, where these two air masses meet, that's the concern. For tomorrow, a stretch from Texas up to the upper Midwest, that level 3 out of 5, enhanced risk. That's after dark tomorrow, making the tornadoes especially dangerous because you can't see them coming. But also very large hail and torrential rain. Flooding, a big concern here, not just because of the torrential downpours, but also the snow melt, which means river levels are rising. Can't have a typical spring setup without heat in the east. Those numbers look more like summer. Highs near 90 from Tampa up through Philly by the middle of the week. Whit.
Really a mix in the days to come. Okay, Danny, thank you. Now to that looming deadline in the Bahamas. The Michigan man arrested after his wife disappeared could learn if he will face charges tomorrow. Let's bring in ABC's Victor Oquendo reporting from the Bahamas. Victor?
Whit, tonight we are just outside the Central Police Station in Freeport, where Brian Hooker has been in custody since last week. His attorney telling us Bahamian authorities come Monday night, they either need to charge him or release him. Hooker was arrested in connection with his wife Lynette's disappearance in the Bahamas. He told authorities the Michigan couple encountered poor weather while riding their dinghy back to their sailboat. She fell overboard and was swept away by the current. Lynette's mother telling ABC News Lynette and Brian had a turbulent relationship. Brian was questioned for 3 hours on Friday. His attorney telling us police focused on the couple's relationship. Brian has denied any wrongdoing in this case. In about 24 hours, we will learn a lot more. If he is charged, the next step would be taking him right across the streets of the courthouse for his arraignment. Whit.
All right, Victor Oquendo, thanks so much. Days after a historic whirlwind mission to the moon, the Artemis II crew is back home and reunited with their families. The crew getting a standing ovation on Saturday at their first joint appearance in Houston, and well wishes from around the world. And tonight, what we're learning about Artemis III, set to launch next year. Here's ABC's Jacqueline Lee.
Tonight, the Artemis II crew welcomed back to Earth with standing ovations and emotional reunions with their loved ones. Pilot Victor Glover Jr.'s daughter Maya posting this tribute video on social media, captioned, "Welcome back, Dad. Welcome back, crew." And Commander Reed Weissman sharing this photo with his 2 daughters, Ellie and Katie, and the caption, "Mission complete." The 4 astronauts speaking out for the first time since that textbook splashdown off the coast of Southern California, reflecting on their nearly 700,000-mile journey around the moon.
No one down here
is ever going to know what the four of us just went through. And it was the most special thing that will ever happen in my life.
And tonight, NASA looking ahead to Artemis III, set to launch in 2027. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman announcing a big change in late February. The mission of Artemis III is to stay in Earth's orbit.
We will endeavor to rendezvous in low Earth orbit with one or both of our lunar landers, test out integrated operations between Orion and the landers.
The crew of Artemis III will test capabilities between the Orion spacecraft and the private commercial spacecraft needed to land astronauts on the moon, part of NASA's ambitious plan for Artemis IV.
This was a test flight to study things like the effects of microgravity and space radiation and tight physical spaces on these astronauts for a long period. And they collected data on all of that that's going to affect how they plan out these future Artemis missions.
Artemis IV, set to launch in 2028, will mark humanity's return to the moon, with 2 crew members descending to the lunar surface and spending about a week near the moon's south pole. Whit.
Jacqueline Lee, our thanks to you tonight. Overseas now to Hungary's Viktor Orban, a close ally of President Trump and Vladimir Putin, conceding defeat after 16 years in power. Let's bring in ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge. And Tom, this election saw record voter turnout.
It did, Whit, and this is a massive moment for Europe. President Trump's closest ally on this continent, Viktor Orban, who has ruled Hungary for the past 16 years, has suffered a crushing defeat. Orban's younger challenger, Peter Magyar, winning a clear majority of seats in the Hungarian parliament. President Trump welcoming Orban to the White House in November, even sending Vice President Vance to Budapest just 5 days ago to endorse Orban ahead of the vote. Vance and Orban attacking the European Union, but now the new Hungarian leader, Peter Magyar, is promising to repair relations with the EU. Orban, also a close ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin, blocked a $100 billion European loan for Ukraine. So Orban's defeat, Whit, matters for Russia's war, it matters for all of Europe, and it is a blow for the Trump administration's aim of spreading more MAGA-style politics across this continent. Whit.
I'm Sufi-Burridge. Thank you for that. There's much more ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday. Gulf's first major turning into an epic battle. Also, questions in California after a hiker is found dead, what one man says he found at the scene. And a high-profile South Florida hotel is now history. Next tonight, an alarming mystery unfolding in Central California. Police calling the death of a woman found on a trail in Big Sur suspicious. A group of hikers say they discovered the body Thursday, one calling the scene atrocious. Officials still determining the cause of death. A Secret Service recruit is accused of spying on a fellow trainee. 41-year-old Joel Canvasser is now free on bond. South Georgia authorities arresting him on charges of unlawful eavesdropping. Canvasser allegedly using a camera hidden in a phone charger to record his suitemate. One Secret Service official calling the charges deeply troubling. Canvasser has not responded to our requests for comment. Still ahead, the Masters. Defending champ Rory McIlroy. Will he make history at Augusta? To the index now, and a luxury hotel turned to rubble. Miami's Mandarin Oriental, just 26 years old, crashing down today. The 23-story building flattened in less than 20 seconds. You see it right there. Actor Will Smith and the Spanish soccer club Real Madrid among the many guests since it opened in 2000. The blast making way for what's described as an ultra-luxury hotel and residential complex. Now to golf and a historic repeat at the Masters. Rory McIlroy taking his second straight green jacket. The defending champ bouncing back in today's final round, holding off two-time champion Scottie Scheffler. McIlroy, the fourth man to repeat at Augusta and the first since Tiger Woods in 2002. When we come back, the stolen pup and the incredible reunion. Finally tonight, faith and technology lead to a long-awaited happy reunion.
40. A heartfelt reunion more than 10 years in the making. 40, look at you. Jordan Koviak reuniting with her beloved pit bull 40, who was stolen from her Philadelphia backyard back in 2015.
It was a long time of heartache.
Jordan had 40 since he was a puppy, and after his disappearance, frequently updated his microchip, hoping someday someone would find him.
I never gave up on him, like ever. I was so relentless.
Then last month, after more than 10 years of uncertainty, an animal control officer called with good news. They found her boy.
I cried. All I did was cry. I didn't go to bed that night.
rushing to ACCT Philly to pick him up the next day with her husband and son. 40, a bit hesitant at first, but quickly warmed up.
He wants to go play with the other dog. Yay! Whoa!
Now back home, enjoying his new family members, including King, another pit bull.
Don't give up. Never give up.
Never give up. Amazing. I'm Whit Johnson in New York. Have a great night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.